Joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, the host of the Holton Ahlers Show, co-host on the U.S. Sailor fifth quarter call-in show, former Pirate QB Holton Ahlers is here. Holt, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Pirates off last Saturday, but back at it coming up Thursday night on ESPN. It'll be a 4 o'clock kickoff to our Bud Light pregame tailgate, 8 o'clock kickoff at Dowdy Ficklin Stadium, and a late night edition of the U.S. Sailor fifth quarter call-in show. Pirates looking to win 2 in a row. Blake Harrell looking to go 2-0 as interim coach, and he came in at a pretty good time. Holt, you get Temple, and then you get FAU, 2 winnable games, 2 games the Pirates are favorites in. So how you feeling about Thursday night?
Feel pretty good about it. I mean, you look at FAU and they hired the big name in Tom Herman and just hasn't worked out for him yet, which I'm kind of surprised. Tom Herman had a really good record when he was at Houston. Houston's a different animal than FAU, though. Although I think FAU's a good job.
Yeah.
Like, someone's going to figure it out there. I don't know if it's going to be him or not.
Lane had it rolling years ago, right?
Yeah, he did. So, I mean, it's a good job. I just think Tom Herman, I mean, you got to think, like, even Houston back then had a lot more resources than FAU does. And then, obviously, he goes to Texas. And, like, that's my biggest thing about, like, Joe Sloan now and, like, in the coaching search is, like, coming from somewhere where it has unlimited resources to somewhere who has limited, like, as a head coach, he probably looked at the resources and was like, this is what we have, like, this is all. Rather than if you get someone who hasn't been at one of those massive schools, then it's like, okay, this is what we get, man. This is great. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
Yeah, for the Pirates at home on a Thursday night, like I don't know, can you ride momentum? You almost felt like you wish they could have played last Saturday to kind of keep that going, but long layoff. Holton, what's practice been like when you get one of those bye weeks and go into a game?
Yeah, it's good. It's probably good for them because Coach Harrell can kind of implement his own things. Bye week, each coach has their own like way of doing things. Bye weeks are really big on like helping the body and like the starters. Like Coach Houston was big on like having 2 really good tough weeks of days of practice. The first 2 days, and then letting the starters kind of back off and not even really practice. Where like Coach Mo was a little bit different. He let the starters have the whole week off. So like it's just each coach has their own way of doing things, and that was probably the first time that Coach Harrell had the chance to implement his stuff.
Got to be good for Hauser too, right? So he goes into a game right before halftime, then the next week gets a full week as starters reps, and then has had a lot of time since then to kind of implement what he wants to do, talk to John David Baker, see what's working, hopefully get with his receivers. But this time has to be good for Hauser.
It's great for him. I mean, as an ECU fan, like that's probably the best timing for him wise because he gets time with the receivers, which he had during the summer, and then obviously when Garcia got named the starter, they kind of switched roles, and Garcia started getting those reps, so it was probably really good for them there. And then confidence-wise, too, like him having a good game before the bye week was huge, and then even JDB to have a good game for his confidence, going into the bye week is huge. So hopefully they can come out there and sling it around on Thursday. I definitely imagine they do.
Pirates, a couple wins away from bowl eligibility, and of course they would need a lot to happen to be back in the conference race, but we're seeing some crazy results each week in college football. Had the college football playoff poll put out last night. Holton, any surprises? Anything stand out to you?
To be completely honest with you, Clip, I was watching the other polls of the United States of America, so I did not see the.
You're about what's important in this world.
I saw Miami was like 4, which I'm big on Miami. I think Cam Ward's really, really good. He's my preseason Heisman pick. But no, I mean, I wasn't Boise State. They're the top G5 school.
Yeah, and I saw a projection where they were like number 10, which kind of just like assume the non-power school is going to be 12, which they are 12 in the actual poll. But saw one where they were at 10, so we're just kind of we're looking to see what's going to happen with these, really with the Big 12. Like who's their champion going to be? If BYU stumbles, where is the highest ranked Big 12 team ranked in that poll? If it's below Boise, then Boise could potentially be number 4.
Yeah, I mean, the Big 12 is a huge one because you saw, 2 of their top 3 big dogs fall last week.
Yep. And Colorado's still in the mix.
Still climbing. I think that'd be awesome. And then Deion's going to go coach the Jets next year with Shador.
Oh, okay.
I'm just... That would be awesome. I think he'd be a great NFL coach, probably better than college, because NFL is literally just about the players liking you.
Well, I predicted that he would not be at Colorado next year. He either ride off into the sunset or follow his kids one way or the other.
Why would you be there if you're him? Like Shador's going to be a top 10 pick probably, or at least a first round pick. Travis Hunter will definitely be a top 10 pick. So, like, if they win there this year and, his top 2 guys get drafted in the first round, like, you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish there. Why else would you really stay there, especially with, the state of college athletics? So, I mean, I wouldn't mind him if he did do that. Good for him.
We will get your picks later in the week, the videos. There's just got to be so much pressure on you guys right now to keep delivering. What's that pressure like, Holton?
Honestly, like, we're starting to feel it a little bit now because, like, it started off kind of as like a joke, and then, like, we just kept winning, and people actually started liking the videos. Like, the Rudy one kind of is what, like, took it off.
Yeah.
And, like, when we first posted, I was like, this is so cringe. Like, this is definitely going to be a dud. And then, like, that was one that everyone loved the most. So, yeah, we kind of just go into it like, we have no clue what we're doing today. At 5 o'clock, Caden's just come in here. We're just going to brainstorm and shoot it. So, we'll see. Who knows?
See how it goes. Looking ahead at this weekend, you said you like Miami. Good grief. Every week, I put them on upset alert, and I'm going to do it again. They're at Georgia Tech. Like, it feels like all this could come crashing down at some moment. I had Duke plus 21 the other day.
They didn't cover it,
and felt great.
Yeah.
And Miami just scored like 40 in the fourth quarter. Like,
that's what they've done the last couple games.
Yeah.
And that's why Cam Ward's probably favorite to win the Heisman right now is he's having like Heisman moments. And he plays really, really well in the fourth quarter. But, I mean, to knock off a top 10 team, you got to run the ball. And Georgia Tech, certainly does that really well. So we'll see. I mean, until it happens, I don't see it. I think Cam Ward's really, really, really good, and they got receivers that are playing really well right now. So, and until they lose a game, even if they look like they're going to lose into the fourth quarter, like Duke. I remember sitting with my brother watching the game. I was like, "This was the I should have took Duke. This was the easiest bet of the week." And then they score like 40 in the fourth quarter and cover. So you're like, "What the
easiest bet of the week has never won."
Yeah,
in the history of mankind.
I had Nebraska versus Ohio State, and they were plus 26.5.
Easiest bet of the week?
Yeah, I thought that was the easiest bet, and it actually won.
Fair enough.
But other than that, yeah, I agree.
Good for you, Holton.
Yeah.
Not for me. The SEC gauntlet continues for these teams. What do you think about Georgia, Ole Miss, and LSU, Bama coming up this week?
I don't think Georgia's as good as people think they are. It's kind of like what we said about Penn State the whole time, that like Penn State was eventually going to lose, and they did. Georgia, like Carson Beck's just continuing to throw interceptions. I mean, he just
brutal,
and you can't do that as a top 10 team. Eventually, like when you play really good teams, Ole Miss can at least score. And historically, that offense has matched up good versus Georgia. So we'll see.
Georgia has been in 2 heavyweight fights. They won at Texas and they lost to Bama.
Yeah,
Bama got them in that game. So another one for them, and then Bama LSU, I've seen this one called a loser leaves town match. Loser's done.
Literally.
So huge one Saturday night.
I think LSU wins that. I'm really high on LSU. I think LSU is really good. But you never know in the SEC. It's literally just toss up every week.
I remember asking this before Texas was had their first loss, and I thought they would eventually lose. I just don't think there is a great team this year. But is Oregon that team? Like, do they have a loss in their future?
Yeah, I think Oregon definitely is. I mean, Oregon's win versus Ohio State is very impressive to me. I think they're top 2 teams, like, by far. And then I think Texas is 3 other. Like, I mean, their loss clearly. What is Texas ranked in the poll? 5? I think they're 5. I think Miami's 4. Texas is 5. I think talent-wise and, like, matchup-wise, Texas is probably the 3rd best team.
Texas is 5. It would give them a 6 seed because of the Big 12 team gets the number 4.
Yeah.
BYU is 9th in the poll, but would be the 4th seed.
That's wild.
So
they would host.
Who? Texas?
BYU.
BYU would have a bye.
And then host.
The second round would be at a neutral site.
Oh, it's dang.
Yeah.
Because BYU's a sick environment.
That is true, yeah.
That's the loudest environment I've played in by far.
But you would have, like, Ohio State, Texas, teams like that hosting first-round games.
Yeah, it's cool.
I want to see Indiana host.
That would be
They
sick.
had them on the 9 line, so they would be going to Tennessee rather than hosting. But I would like to see them keep going.
And what's weird about that is, like, I mean, I know they haven't played the best schools, but, like, they're dominating.
They're killing
everyone.
everybody.
Like, if their name was Ohio State, they'd be, like, number 2 or number 1.
They were down 10-0 and up
had like 50
38-10.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So they're playing great football right now. Commanders playing great football, Holt.
They are.
You buying into what they're doing?
I am, man.
Jaden Daniels?
I'm kind of jealous of you. I wish I was a fan of him. I mean, I'm cheering for him, but I don't have an NFL
Are you a
team.
fan? Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't really have an NFL team. I'm a huge Knicks guy in the NBA, so I'm all my time's invested into them.
Done pretty well with them. Did not the other night in their loss to the Rockets. So
embarrassing.
Got to get back on track.
We just signed a probably none of the listeners are NBA fans, but we just signed a guy who shot 45% from 3 last year, so I'm pretty pumped about that. His name's Matt Ryan, actually.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah, Matty Ice.
Caucasian?
Oh, absolutely. 45% three-point shooter? Dude doesn't even dribble.
Name Matt Ryan? He got to be.
Catch and shoot.
Knicks -6.5 tonight against the Hawks.
Yeah, it took Karl-Anthony Towns to have a double-double. He's had it last 3 games, and I actually put $2 on Josh Hart to have a triple-double. It's 2 to win 62.
2 smackers. Yeah. All right, we'll be watching some of that tonight at Trivia, so you can come hang out at Pellegrine. All right, Holt, I guess that's about it, man. What's coming up this week on the Holton Ahlers show? Oh, it's already out. Kim McNeil.
We had Kim McNeil.
Great guest. Good luck to them this year.
Obviously it's football season, and people love hearing football guests, but they're starting their season, and have been to 2 back-to-back conference championships.
Nice.
So we just want to get her on. She's really good. She's really good. Person around Greenville too.
Absolutely.
And we talked about that, about like the coaching search and kind of like a broader range, not just women's basketball. And she talked about how important it is, and I even asked her like how has she been intentional about like going into community in Greenville and stuff, because I think that's a very underrated trait of like an ECU head coach. Like Cliff Goblin's done really good at it, she's done really good at it. Coach Houston I feel like did a good job of it, but it's just so hard for the football coach because like your attention has to be on 120 guys plus that, and like Skip Holtz did a really good job of it when he was here. So, I mean, I think that's a huge trait that we need to look for in our next head coach.
And folks out there, you can help ECU athletics by being kind, nice people, because one of the reasons Kim McNeil's still here is because her kids are going through the little leagues, and they've got so many great friends and coaches. I mean, she talked about Ramey Steins, how important he was in her son's life. Like, just being good people in a good community will have people wanting to live here. And she doesn't want to go anywhere because she loves her kids love it here.
Yeah, and she talked about that. She talked about, like you said, Greenville Little League and Ramey Steins and some of that. And then, I kind of found it shocking. She was very honest. We talked about the NIL and transfer portal. I told her, I was like, look, I don't know that much about women's basketball, so like you got to tell me. And I asked her, and she was like, yeah, like there's girls out there that are getting like $200K, and then like she said even like high school recruits that were recruiting at ECU are asking for money, and I just never would have thought that's like a thing in women's basketball. Not to be like disrespectful, I just genuinely didn't think so. But she said it was, and then she was very honest. She was like, "Look, I don't know much longer I'm going to do this. I might retire soon because of this." So
yeah, we have seen big names drop out, and you're going to keep the dominoes will keep falling. Oh, good stuff, man. We'll make sure you check out that podcast, and we'll talk to you Thursday. We'll track you down on the pregame, but also afterwards on the 5th quarter.
For sure, man.
Eat some dank burrito late night.
Yes, sir, and some ranch.